It is a travesty that they are still not. I think it's a travesty that they're still not exonerated. And like I said, yes, I'm happy they're not getting any prison time. But even still, it's measured. My congratulations is measured, but I hope that that we can, change the system so that no more people are subject to this like the Uhuru 3 were. Okay. So, as you all know, I'm in Orlando, Florida. I'm about an hour and a half away from Tampa. In Tampa, the Uhuru 3, so that is Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and Jesse Neville, also known as the Uhuru 3, who were in court, federal court, for being unofficial, foreign agents. Essentially, that's what they're being charged with. I think they were facing 5 years each for the charges that the Biden Department of Justice was trying to tag them with. Well, essentially, did they beat the charges and get exonerated? No, but they got something close. Let me share this with you guys. And I'm going to share it from Black Alliance for Peace because I want to go through them. I want to go through them instead of corporate media because, they're good peoples. So I want to go through Black Alliance for Peace. Okay. So here is the good news. So the Biden administration fails to win imprisonment of the Uhuru 3. So this happened yesterday. And let me share it with you guys. It says the Biden administration fails to win imprisonment of the Uhuru 3. Members of the Uhuru movement, Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and Jesse Neville, the Uhuru 3 were sentenced to 3 years probation. I'm sorry, my correction, 3 years probation and community service after being convicted in September 2024 of supposedly conspiring with the Russian government to interfere in U.S. elections. The Black Alliance for Peace recognizes that this sentence is confirmation that the charges against Uhuru members by the Biden administration Department of Justice were baseless, while any sentence handed down from imperialist courts for actions that are supposed to be legally protected are in themselves illegitimate. The refusal of the judge to incarcerate the Uhuru 3 is a victory in the fight against the repressive U.S. regime, regardless of which wing of the finance capital bird leads it. So here's the thing. While I am celebrating, I am still frustrated because they're still, in a sense, being punished for something that they didn't do. Even though it is community service and just probation, it's like probation for what? Like, what did they actually do? They didn't actually do anything, and yet you're putting them on probation. You're forcing them to do community service, which they do by default. Like, they are literally a community service organization. But you're still punishing them for essentially just talking shit about the U.S. government while it's an election season. Let me ask you something. If they're guilty of doing that, what are all y'all guilty of? See what I mean? Because if they're able to still find them guilty, that's a slippery slope. Because, yeah, it is a good thing that they're not getting prison time, which I am grateful for. right? Chairman O'Malley used to tell us in his 80s, right? Even still, they should have been exonerated. There should have been an exoneration. Not, oh, we still think you're guilty. No sentence. Nothing should have happened to them. The charges should have been dropped. They should have been exonerated. They should have been shown that they were not any type of unofficial Russian agent at all. They were just expressing their First Amendment rights. And the problem is the Biden administration fought tooth and nail to make sure to go against their free speech rights. And let me ask you this, where was the Trump administration in defending them in their free speech rights? So neither side, neither party was ever going to assist them, was ever going to lend their voice for free speech, because neither major party believes in free speech. Did Donald Trump ever go to visit the Uhuru 3 and lend his support and say, I believe in free speech, and so I'm going to stand with you, even though we disagree on fundamentally on a lot? Let's continue. The attack on the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement was intended as an attack against the Black liberation movement in a pathetic move to intimidate and to silence the non-resistance and most consistent anti-imperialist force in the United States of America, the revolutionary African working class. That was from Ajimo Baraka, chair of the coordinating committee for the Black Alliance for Peace. What the state did not understand was that no matter what the outcome would have been in the sentencing of the Uhuru 3, the resistance efforts on the part of our movement was going to intensify in 2025. Our movement cannot be intimidated by state actions. The government's weak case was punctuated by its own witness admitting under oath that under no evidence was found that proved the 3 defendants were agents of the Russian government. But the overwhelming volume of that meaningless evidence also confused the jury into finding the 3 guilty of conspiring to do something that there was no evidence that they did. This is not logical, but logic is never the goal of the government when it comes to silencing dissent, which was certainly the goal of the Biden administration in this case. It is interesting to note that it was a Trump-appointed judge who exposed the glaring contradiction in the indictment and conviction of Uhuru 3. During the sentencing, he declared that the group's actions were protected political speech that caused no harm and must be allowed, or it gets chilled. The irony of a Trump appointee defending free speech on a trial meant to imprison Africans for exercising it should be lost on no one. The U.S. also played a role in the 2-year ordeal by acquiescing to the threat of Democrat-led government repression with little resistance and deafening silence, whether due to fear of being next or of their belief in the Democrat-created lie of Russiagate, or because of their own internal Russophobia, or worse, anti-communism, even though Russia is not a communist country any longer. The lack of support given to the Uhuru 3 reminds U.S.-based African anti-imperialists that we are largely on our own. We understand, therefore, that our greatest strength is in international solidarity with like-minded and focused peoples around the world. Black Alliance for Peace reiterates its unwavering support for the Uhuru 3 and congratulates them on this outcome. We also recognize that this is but one small victory in a larger ongoing battle against the imperialist repression that we must continue to fight. The 60 Stop Cop City protesters facing RICO charges in Atlanta are next on the firing line of the same repressive Democrat-led government. We should not merely hope for a sympathetic judge, Trump appointed or otherwise, to stand between the people exercising our rights and the state trying to deny them and criminalize us. Black Alliance for Peace declares that we are at war. We must fight against the system regardless who is in power. But we are not fighting alone. We fight with the entire anti-imperialist world already engaged in the struggle against the U.S. regime that represses us all. No compromise, no retreat. Well, that is from them. And I just want to say congratulations. I honestly do think that it is a travesty that they are still not. I think it's a travesty that they're still not exonerated. And like I said, yes, I'm happy they're not getting any prison time. But even still, it's measured. My congratulations is measured, but I hope that that we can, change the system so that no more people are subject to this like the Uhuru 3 were. But we'll see. I also want to share a speech by Scott Ritter. Let's take a look and listen.
Speak out. I'm going to spend 2.5 years standing to judgment in front of a court that never loses. Yeah. And so they shut up. And they don't just shut up, they don't listen. If this is going to work, if your movement's going to work, you have to bring people like me into it so that I can listen to you, that we can share things, that we can grow, not as a black nationalist movement, but as an American movement together to try and right the wrongs. But we can't do that if we don't communicate, and we can't communicate if we don't speak, and we're not going to speak if the government thinks that it can charge us, make us spend a whole bunch of money for 2.5 years to what? Get a probation sentence. Is this what the government did? This wasn't about you, Chairman. This is about me. This is about everybody in the city of Tampa, everybody in America, because it can happen across, well, I'll talk about Americans first preach, across the world too. But the point is, what they did here is an assault on every American. I don't know why the people driving, the people at home, you should be here too. This is your fight. They fight your fight, and the fight's not over, Chairman. I'm going to commit myself to working with you, going to St. Louis, and learning about you.
So that was Scott Ritter, with the Uhuru 3. That was it's, this is why we say it is a measured victory. Thank you to Scott Ritter for your words there. But ultimately, I think that it should be greater. Like it shouldn't have happened. I'm glad there's no jail, but we still have a fight to go. We still have longer to go. So there as well. Actually, let me show you guys in the thumbnail so you guys can see. Way up here in the upper right-hand corner, that's Caleb. And so, yeah. And then, of course, you guys know Chairman Omali Yeshitela. Then in the middle is Jesse Neville. And then on the far right is Penny Hess. So that's who they are. That's the Uhuru 3. But that is a good story. It's a positive story. And this is why solidarity is so important, especially for the members of, these groups who are doing the hard work of doing mutual aid. Like the Uhuru 3 is literally part of a mutual aid group. And so if they're getting probation and community service for being found guilty, then what about other groups that are doing mutual aid that speak out against U.S. imperialism? What's going to happen to them? This is why we have to continue to fight. We cannot stop, because if we are truly about free speech, we got to make sure that we make it count. And this is why I gave that speech about solidarity with each other earlier. So, congratulations to the Uhuru 3, Uhuru to all of you, and let's keep the fight going. Let's keep the fight going. Thank you so very much for watching my channel, and I deeply appreciate it from the top and bottom of my heart. If you wish to support the channel further, so I can keep bringing you content that is educational and informative, you can become a patron on patreon.com/Jaybefaunt. You can find that link in the pinned comment or in the description below. No matter what you give, you'll be supporting independent media and education that helps make the world better. Thank you so much, and you can watch more of my content here. Mwah. Forehead kisses, and have a beautiful day.